I found this information and the outcome and survey data from for sale by owners from 2023 and how much money actually they lost and what kind of challenges that they had. Hey, welcome back to Shawn Realty Podcast. My name is Shawn Yu from Portland, Oregon. NAR number first. The FSBO accounted for 7% of the home sales in 2023. The typical home sold for $310,000 compared to $405,000 with the agent assisting sales. That's a lot of difference. That's $95K right there. For sale by owners, marketing methods include 20% friends, relative, yard sign, this and that. Social networking website, none. I was a little bit surprised. Most difficult tasks for sale by owner sellers: preparing and fixing homes for sale, getting the right price, and understanding the paperwork, selling with the planned length of time, having enough time to devote to the aspect of all the sale, attracting potential buyers, and help buyer obtaining financing. Negotiation should be in there. I don't know if I missed it. Negotiation is where, especially after home buyers do the home inspection, you can lose a lot of money if you don't know how to negotiate on the repair items. So this website called Clever, their key points are basically saying pretty much similar thing, but in more details. Despite having to pay commission, sellers who use a real estate agent to sell their homes earned profit of $207,500. Did I say it right? $207,500. That's $79,000 more than the $128,500 sellers who did not hire agent hire, basically. About 33% of recent home sellers say that the selling process was harder than expected. So I want you to keep an eye on that. Selling FSBO or for sale by owner, 24% of the sellers who didn't use an agent. Selling to cash buyers or investor, 23% of sellers who didn't use an agent. That's a lot. And when you're selling to cash home buyers or investors, you're going to leave a lot of money on the table because those investors know the bottom line. And they could offer you 80 cents on a dollar type of deal. They probably do less than that actually for the investors to make money, especially if they're home flippers. The long-term holder investors, they may pay a little bit more, but flippers I've seen anywhere between 50 to 60 cents on a dollar. Okay. Selling to an iBuyer, 18% of the sellers did that. Paying for a flat fee MLS listings, it's 12% sellers who didn't use an agent. So flat fee MLS listing is basically they're like websites in every state, every city. I'm sure you pay about like $400 or $500, and that the company adds your listing to their website, to the MLS listing connection, so you can get syndicated to Zillow and Redfin and things like that. But basically says that this listing is not represented by an agent and contact the seller directly. So that's what it means. Sellers who not use an agent, 47% are nearly 2 times more likely than those who did, with 25% to be unhappy about the method that they use to sell their home. In the end, 54% of non-traditional sellers wish they had used a real estate agent. There's more than 50%, 54%, they regretted not hiring an agent. Now let's look at why did you sell a home without a real estate agent? The first reason that you will hear and you will logically think is to save money on the commission, right? I want to save on realtor commission, that's 30%. I thought it would be quicker than a traditional sale, 29%. The house was at risk for foreclosure, 29%. My home was in bad condition, 28%. It was convenient, 27%. I prefer to handle showing and negotiation myself, 27%. I need the money fast, 26%. I had a bad experience with my last real estate agent, 24%. I don't trust the real estate agent, 23%. So out of this, about 10 different reasons, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 of them was like a financial hardship. And let's see, 30%, and that it was convenient. That to me, that tells me that there's another buyer in place before they even listed it. Or they got a letter from like flippers. The bottom two is unfortunate for real estate industry. There are some agents who may not be good enough for you to be happy, and that's in any industry. There's good doctors, bad doctors, right? But that's why the sellers didn't use a real estate agent. And Yahoo Finance, they basically followed this article and they summarized it. And I thought it was pretty well done for very specific. So less profit, unexpected expenses, marketing difficulties, and difficult negotiations. That's what they've experienced. And I'll try to go into a little bit more details because I haven't seen this kind of detailed information before. So this is kind of like similar to the NAR data that I showed you. Right there, cash home buyer invested 23%. These 23%, I'm pretty sure they probably lost money. Unless it's iBuyer program, Wall Street, the hedge fund money are buying up. They actually do pay quite a bit of money. So I had situation in 2021, I think. iBuyer offer was higher than what I could sell in that market. It was like there was about a year period the sellers actually took advantage. If you sold within the time, you did actually pretty well. But then after that, they went down. Like the Zillow iBuyer program, they closed down, right? Half of non-traditional sellers, 50%, say they'd be more likely to use an agent on their next home sale if they didn't have to pay the buyer's agent's commission. So it's again conditional. Sellers who did not use an agent, 51%, are 64% more likely than sellers who did use an agent. 31% say that they did not sell for desired profit and they lost money. So who use an agent, that's the data that I showed you, $70,000 more. So on a medium price home, let's say $500,000, that's 15% less they made, which is kind of like eBay listing fee. eBay charges about 15% to list items. Art auction sites, they charge like 11 to 12%. Listing agent charges anywhere between 1 to 3%. And the buyer's agents get paid anywhere between 1% to, because I don't know what that going rate is, especially after the lawsuit settlement. Sellers who use an agent, 81% are 43% more likely to be satisfied with the selling price of their home than the sellers who didn't use agent, 57%. Nearly half of the feasible sellers, 49%, wish they had priced their home differently, while 73% of represented sellers think their agent priced their home correctly. So the chance of pricing it well, because if you don't price it well, it could sit on the market for a long time. Or if you list too low, you sell really fast, but you leave a lot of money on the table, you lose money, right? So pricing is really the hard one for the consumers. I mean, realtors should know the pricing well. More than half of unrepresented sellers say that buyers didn't trust them because they didn't have an agent. This is kind of like, yeah, when you go buy a watch at a watch store, you have a salesperson, they have a storefront. And in this case, somebody walk into your house with a watch who doesn't have a store and who doesn't have credibility to try to sell you a $80,000 Rolex watch, would you feel comfortable? So I'm not saying that, that cannot be done, but when there's no sales representation on the other side, there's no guidance or the filtering or ethical boundaries that they have to follow. So for example, the sellers don't have to follow that. The agents do, because agents can lose their license, their livelihood. So agents are very ethical, in my opinion, mostly. There's some unethical ones I've experienced too, but mostly they're ethical. But when you're dealing with the sellers directly, there's no checks and balances there. You don't know what kind of ethical people they are. The sellers are, right? So that's probably one of the biggest reasons why you shouldn't list your own. That's my opinion as an agent. Of course, I'm the realtor. 80% of sellers who did not use agent have regrets about their home sale, with the sellers most likely to wish they had received more offers. That's 24%. Nearly half of sellers, 46%, turned down an offer that ended up being their highest. Oof. Yeah. So this one, I think, as a listing agent, when you get an offer that's above the comparable homes and the fair market value in that market, and based on how many buyers are actually contacting, how many buyer showings are set up, sellers agents, a lot of times when they see a good offer, they know. So they will tell the seller, hey, this is really good offer. I don't think if we pass the first week, we're going to get this kind of offer. And that's proof right there. Half of the sellers, they turned down because they got greedy without data-based professional opinion guiding them. I think that's another really biggie. Let's see, 87% of non-choosing sellers would be willing to switch to an agent at some point, with the 51% saying they'll hire an agent within 2 months of not receiving any reasonable offers. I used to call for sale by owners for listing solicitation. I did get some listings. I didn't get a lot of business doing that, but they're basically testing the market. I'm going to try this on my own to save that 3% or 2%, whatever that was. And the marketing sucks. Let's just face it. Marketing really sucks. And they don't get any activity. And mostly what they get is realtors calls, solicitation calls. Hey, is this a seller? Hey, my name is Shawn. I'm just calling because I saw that you listed your house on your own. When are you thinking about hiring an agent? You're going to get those calls like a dozen a day sometimes, Let's see. Most people have a good experience with their agent, but 45% say their agent only cared about making a sale. 43% say that their agent made mistakes with their listings, and 35% say their agent failed them. Wow. That's surprisingly high number. I had maybe 1 or 2 unhappy customers, and there was one time actually I made a mistake. I paid for it in my 16 year, but other than that, I think most of them were happy. That what I had to pay, that was a clerical error on my part, and buyers they should have read the detailed document, but they didn't read it and they signed it. So some of it is their fault, but I took the responsibility and paid for it. But anyways, other than that, I've been good, but that number is pretty high. The not satisfied, the sellers. Now, this is kind of interesting. 80% of the feasible sellers don't know the average commission rate. So they didn't really know how much they were going to save by listing themselves, not hiring an agent. So just know, you might want to talk to some agents in your town and say, hey, how much do you charge if you're going to list? My home is about $500,000, and kind of have an understanding of, let's say 2% or 2.5%, like $12,000, $13,000. Is that worth your time? If you're retired and you want to just do it, because you want to do it, that's different. But if you're busy, you have a job, and you have to learn the process, the legal aspects of it, the negotiation, the pricing, the marketing, showing bunch of homes to strangers, bunch of things. There's safety issue too. Is that money really worth your time so that you can save that money? That's what you really should be asking for. And most of the time, most of people who work, probably not, especially when you actually lose money in this, based on this article, $79,000. You lose money and you don't really save money on the commission. Now, why did you sell your home without an agent? Oh yeah, we covered this. Of course, 1 in 3 sellers, 33%, guessed too high, believing agent commissions cost more than 7%. I never seen a 7% listing. I never did. Here's a little bit biased point here. Sellers received relief in August. They're talking about the NAR settlement. When a ruling stipulating they're no longer required to pay the buyer's agent's commission went into effect, half of FSBO sellers, 50%, say that the move will make them more likely to use an agent on their next home sale. So basic thinking is that because you don't have to offer the buyer's agent's cost, they're willing to pay that 2 to 3% range just for the seller's agent. But the reality is, without the buyer's agent's hard work, it's much harder to get everybody in the buyer pool for your house. So we need to wait and see. But so far, I have seen the buyers with the buyer's agent and the sellers who's willing to pay the buyer's agent's fee tend to get most exposure. Probably leads into better offer, better net profit. That's my opinion. At the same time, 65% think that future sellers won't need agents for real estate transactions, with 68% saying they'll be willing to use an AI to sell their homes. Yeah, it could happen. So here's the pain point. Why didn't your home sell for your desired profit? I had to lower the price. I had to lower the listing price. That's 35%. That means they priced it too high. Too many comparable homes on the market. Potentially. But the reality is when your listing is the highest price and the other homes aren't as expensive, you're going to just sit on the market. And because of that, it's going to feel like there's just too many competitions. The appraisal value was lower than expected. Of course, you just priced it too high. Time constraints required a quick sale at a lower price. Now, this is, again, the financial hardship seller situation. By the way, if you have a financial hardship, I still believe that instead of going to like foreclosure process or selling it to one of those we buy any condition homes for 50% of your home value, or somebody who knocks on your door, sending you a letter, selling to them, as long as you price it right, no matter what kind of market it is, if you price it competitively, you can actually sell it in the first week. There should be a pricing guidance says, let's sell it in 1 week price, because realtors know that price. And my belief is that you're going to be ahead and make more money if you went that route compared to calling those street signs, selling it to people who send you the letter. Unless the letter says, my mom lives next to your house. I would love to buy your house at a much higher price. Then yes, for sure, you got to take the deal. Don't let that one go. The property had unresolved maintenance issues. So here is where repair negotiation is failing. The buyers look at the repair items. They think that it's huge. This is a $50,000 repairs. But in reality, it's less than $10,000 a lot of times. And so if you don't know how to negotiate that as a seller and having seller's agent guiding you, you're not going to know how to negotiate it. You end up paying a lot. Buyer negotiation led to a lower price. So this is where having a salesperson in between you and the buyer, and the salesperson is the guard. They guard your emotion, your motivation, so that you don't have to show all your cards to the buyers. And that's what good listing agents do. They guard so that their seller can nap more. And because you're dealing with the buyer's agents or the buyers directly, they smell that you're bleeding. You're bleeding money. You need to sell quick. they're going to, that's why they call it, property sharks. Anyways, go back to this list. Unfavorable market condition. That's what you think. Bad staging or representation of homes. There's a bunch of information that the realtors will bring. Staging, taking good photos and videos. That's like half the battle a lot of times. The home inspection revealed a significant issue. Same thing that I mentioned, that's 25%. Seasonal market fluctuations. Seasonal market definitely is there, especially during fall and winter market. There are less buyers and less listings. Unexpected costs during the selling process. So this one is kind of interesting one. There's like moving costs in there too, but the moving costs should not be that unexpected, cost. The unexpected cost that I could see in Oregon is that sellers are typically, they're supposed to pay half of the escrow fee, a few $1,000, and also the prorated property taxes, depending on what month of the year it closes. Sometimes sellers have to pay that, and agents' costs, and then there's like other, escrow fees and things like that. But if you hire an agent, they're going to explain that to you. If you don't, you're going to be surprised at the signing table or a few days before signing table. Lack of effective marketing and advertising. That 23%, in reality, I believe it's way more than that. Because whenever I see this for sale by owner listings, pictures, copies, and how they're presented, and it looks pretty bad. Like most of the times. So that should be more than like 70% problem, not 23%. Obviously, they're living in their own land. I mean, that's how I view it whenever I deal with for sale by owners. They're very greedy. They want to make a bunch of money and they don't trust anybody. And that's going to show. And that's what the buyer is going to think. On the buyer side, the buyer is going to think, well, seller is going to save that seller's commissions. I'm going to make a lower offer. And if you told that buyer, hey, I need to really go to Arizona by next month, I really need to sell it. If you said that, they're going to make a lower offer. There's no guard that you need. Nearly half of the FSBO sellers think their homes would have sold faster with a real estate agent. Yep. I believe so. 80% of the FSBO sellers have regrets. Most common regret among FSBO sellers is wishing they had received more offers. Well, when you overprice, marketing sucks, picture sucks, video sucks, copy sucks, and there's no salesperson, you look shady, what do you expect? Come on, guys. 46% of all sellers turned down offer that ended up being their highest. They're very detailed information. They must have really surveyed these people well. They must have answered 30 questions at this point. FSBO sellers also regret that the buyer got the better end of the deal, 24%. They struggle to time their home sale with their purchases. Oh, that really you need a professional to sell and buy at the same time. They didn't wait to list their home until the market was better. So this one, probably fall and winter sellers, their house took longer to sell than expected. Of course. They received less than asking price on their home. Of course. I should have negotiated more. Yeah, I bet you it's more than 18%. I made more concessions than I felt comfortable with because you showed your face. You showed your poker face. You don't show your poker face when you're selling a house, guys. I couldn't attract enough buyers, of course. Interestingly, not getting enough offers is the least cited regret among represented sellers. Just 19% saying they didn't get as many as expected. Instead, represented sellers, their top regrets are their agent didn't negotiate enough on their behalf, 33%. They should have made more repairs before listing. That's a good one. They paid more in repair credits and closing costs than expected, 28%. They thought the buyer got better end of the deal, 28%. They made more concessions than they were comfortable with, 28%. Sometimes, sure. I mean, listing agents aren't all top negotiators, especially when you're hiring them. If the listing agent cut their own costs like that with their own money, they're going to do like that with your money. Much easier to cut seller's profit than agents their own commission. That's typical case. So be careful who you hire. Some of these things, you don't know what the real outcome would have been if you had a better agent or if you didn't have agent. Some of these opinions could be somewhat distorted. Some of these things, like paying too much for the repair credit and things like that, it could be the market dependent too. If you get 5 offers, you're not going to have these kind of regrets because you're not going to really pay that much for the repair costs. As long as you have the backup buyers lined up and they're begging to buy your house, then you don't have to. But if you're only dealing with one offer in like 3 months, that buyer will have better negotiation leverage point. So you end up feel like this, but reality is you could have just done just fine, because you didn't do those maintenance in advance, or you neglected the house maintenance for the last decade. You're paying for it. That's what it is. This is kind of interesting. I should have made more repairs before listing. This is a good one. There's certain repairs that you want to do, such as like doing the HVAC maintenance, changing the air filter, doing some minor paint, doing the curb appeal, fixing the light fixtures. Those things, if you take some time, it's much cheaper to fix than at the end of transaction, like the last day to negotiate the repairs, the buyers add up with inflated repair cost. It just jump big time, Thumbs up went up. Is that what it means? So yeah, I think finding a negotiation skill listing agent is important. Somebody asked on YouTube video how to find that agent, and I took probably like 30 minutes at 10 p.m. kind of drafted on my YouTube response. Let's actually look at it. Somebody liked it too. Lost Cat Finders Dripping Springs asked, how do you find one that who has it, the negotiation skill and everything? Definitely one of the best questions in real estate, and it's difficult to answer, but I would use the following personal opinion, not professional advice here. So this is what I would do if I move into a different state where I don't have license. This is my checklist how to find a good agent. I'm looking for a listing agent in another state. Number 1, 5+ years of selling. Number 2, verbal written communication intelligence. Do they listen well without talking too much? Do they ask the right questions and make you talk more? Talk concisely. Are they calm? These are the qualities I often see in great negotiators representing the other side of transactions, and I try to emulate them myself, because if I make the other side agent talk more, I get more information for my own client, right? Number 3, how they handle and negotiate their own selling fee. Right there, this is what I was talking about earlier. If they reduce the fee too easily to get the listing, I would be cautious of hiring that person. The idea behind it is that if you give up their own money easily, it'll be easier to give away seller's net profit. Number 4, read reviews of previous clients. Pretty obvious one, but they're pretty happy, reviews. So it's hard to kind of cut through noise, but that's an important one. 5, are they ethical? This one is somewhat vague, but when you have enough communication, how they represent themselves, what kind of beliefs they have, you may be able to tell whether they're ethical or not. I might need to make a video about it, and thanks for your questions. So here it is. Here's the video. This is interesting one. I was pressured to accept an offer. Yeah, I never want to be that agent. I try to give all the options, and I tell them it's ultimately your choice. I would say if you don't like this offer, even though I think this could be the best offer, I'll do my best to attract more offers. I don't try to force them, typically. Yeah. I got less than asking price. It really depends on the market. We realtors are just data analyzer and the messengers. We don't dictate what kind of offers. We try to do our best to get the best offers. I mean, that's what we're paying to do. The main pain points from the sellers. Nearly 9 out of 10, pretty much everybody. For sell by owner, sellers would consider hiring an agent during their next sale, generating interest and getting buyers to make offers. Somebody who encouraged buyers to make offers, make the house look super shiny and attractive. The paperwork that involved when selling. Paperwork can be very challenging. The feeling that you may get sued about 6 months from now, that's pretty tough one to deal with. Getting the house ready to show. That one is your own job as a seller, but fine. Evaluating offers, yeah. Just one offer evaluating is one thing, but when there are like 10 offers, evaluating 10 offers to compare which one is the best could be challenging sometimes. All the contingencies, the credits, other conditions of the offers, not just the price. Coping with uncertainty of the market. This is kind of like hand-holding thing because it can be pretty emotional. Me as an agent, when I sell my own house, I get emotional. I get greedy. So I know how sellers feel. But you need some professionals who have clear-headed, objectively thinking, one on your side. Pricing their home, obvious one. Negotiating with the buyers, of course. Arranging open house and showings. To me, this is, before you think about list your own home, just look at this. Pretty much every for sale by owners have said this. So why would you even go there? On the flip side, half of represented homeowners consider selling without an agent. So these are the people who didn't have a good experience. Did you consider any alternatives before listing with an agent? They consider a flat fee MLS listing. Half of them did. Selling to a cash buyers and investors, for sale by owner, renting my own house, selling to an iBuyer. Most of these options, in my opinion, isn't that good. But renting out my home, I think that's fine. I think there's certain homes you should rent out instead of selling. Why did you eventually decide to use an agent? Desire for professional guidance and support. I mean, that pretty much sums it up, guys. Desire for smoother and faster sale, of course. Belief that an agent could achieve a higher sale price. Lack of time to manage sale because you have a job, you have kids. Desire for professional marketing, advertising. Yeah. That takes a lot of skills, guys. Even the photos, in my opinion, the listing photos could go to a art level because certain pictures will grab those buyers into your house. Certain pictures will say, my house sucks, go away. You see that all the time. It's unfortunate. Even professional photos have that. So it could be an art form, guys. Lack of confidence in selling alone, lack of knowledge about selling home, desire to avoid the stress and hassle of selling, concerned about legal and paper complexities, concerns about handling negotiation, need for expert pricing advice. I mean, these are very, very good reasons why they would still consider hiring an agent. Here's 1 in 3 sellers who use a realtor say that their agent failed them. Their agent botched negotiation. Their agent was only looking to make sale instead of caring about their client's best interest. Yep. Their agent pressured them into making decisions they weren't comfortable with. Their agent made mistakes with their listings. Their agent ignored them. Their agent annoyed them. Their agent failed them. Oh, yeah, I don't want to be that agent for sure. That's why I work hard every day to try to make my clients happy. But, these things happen. Like I said, not all the agents are great agents, like any other industries. The first one I kind of want to touch on a bit, the agent botched negotiation. I gotta say, man, it's like there's some agents who are egoistic. It's all about their ego than really a win-win situation. Some days I feel like I want to do that, but I have to kind of like wipe my head and go, no, shake my head and go, no, this is not about my ego, right? This is about my client's best interest. Sometimes, you want to go there, but you shouldn't, but I see that every once in a while, unfortunately. It does happen. Legal fees in Oregon, we're escrow state, so we don't typically have attorney get involved. But other states, yeah, you have to have the attorney. Like Minnesota, I remember there's attorney. I think New York is another attorney closing states. That pretty much sums up this really detailed article. I don't know where actually they got this survey. Maybe, let me look. Source is their own website. I don't know this website. This is the first time that I visited this website. So to be seen if this is credible source of information website or not. But regretting points, why they would hire next sale or why would they not hire in the next sale. Those are really good points. People who went through the for sale by owner process, the pain points and all of that. And me as an agent, reading this article makes me think that, wow, these are the things that sellers are going through, and I got to do a better job at what I do when I represent the sellers. So I hope this was helpful. I know this could be almost like an hour video. If you watch so far, that's amazing. I'll try to edit this as much as I can so you don't have to spend as much time, but there's so much information here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you hit the like button and subscribe, that's going to help my channel greatly, and I really appreciate it. And if you have any other personal experience of selling by yourself or sell by owner, and whether it's a success or whether it's a failure, I would love to hear some of feedback that based on your experience. And if you're realtors in the country, feel free to leave comments on these key topics and what kind of things that we can do to do better to really help our sellers. Feel free to share that on X or YouTube, which are two of my main platforms. So thanks so much for your support, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.